Welcome to Beer 30 Live.
We're live.
Jamie.
Pete.
It's just us today. How did that happen?
This is retro throwback day.
I'm telling you, it is. It's been a long time since we've done a show together. Besides just us.
It's been
over a year.
Over a year.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know or haven't listened, we started out together doing this kind of as an experiment when we were at Phoenix.
Yeah, University of Phoenix.
The Rapid seminars, right? To help give students tips on how to do things. And I think our very first one was on PowerPoint or something like that. And then we evolved to Tuesday noon.
Yep.
And we certainly have moved from PowerPoint all the way to beer.
To beer, exactly.
I am very happy.
That's the right way to do it, I think.
Our evolution is good. We're headed in the right direction.
We're headed in the right direction. You know, I have some Phoenix news today.
You do?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't work there anymore.
Woo! High five!
Yep, that's right. As of today, effective immediately, I am no longer gainfully employed at all.
So what are you doing now, though?
I'm going full-time freelance marketing, production.
$20 at a time on a stage with high heels?
whatever works. Whatever works. I am a cheap date.
I thought I saw you on Craigslist. Bored housewife? Need a friend for an hour?
Tater tots and RC Cola. That's all it takes to get me friendly.
So you're tell me a little about it. So you're freelancing, helping out with what, Marcom?
Yep. Marcom, my initial clients are, frankly, doing podcast production, helping clients reach out
funny?
and
I
tell their
your
stories.
Career.
How you launched my career.
You notice how I spun that in too? I was responsible for your success.
That's right. And you know what? I will let you think that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, I am actually thrilled to be on my own and to be it's an interesting thing. We've talked about it before. It's the sort of running your own show, being responsible for it. And the way I phrase this, it's like over the course of my years at Phoenix, I was there almost 7 years I was there, it's like the hair under a decade, it feels like. And I started at a campus and worked up into the corporate offices and as a director in the organization, I realized there's a big weight on your shoulders, working at a company job, and there's a lot of stress, and I feel like I've thrown that weight off my shoulder, and now it's like a nice shiny anchor tied around my neck. But it's a new weight, and I can own this.
You're
weight.
Reinventing yourself.
Exactly.
It's funny. We were talking with the lady who came around and helped us, and it's funny because her sister works here too, and we're all confused about which was which.
We are at McMiniman's John Barleycorn.
And by the way, real quick. So Shane's not here because he
is camping in the woods and drinking, I am sure.
Mary,
we don't know where she is.
I'm not sure. I know she's not out hunting the hantavirus or something.
Yeah, we know she told us she wasn't going to be here. We just don't.
And we had a guest lined up, and
he's not here.
He's not here. So it's just two of us, tots and beer, and here we are. So you and I were saying earlier, in today's day and age, you reinvent yourself over and over. I think about my father's generation, or really before that, even the blue collar, work at this job, do this industrial thing over and over. And now we've become more intellectual and not necessarily intellectual, information-based, and you can reinvent yourself. And so for you, it's working up the corporate ladder and then saying, hey, I've got some really good skills. These are cool. Let me go out and do it on my own and see what I can do.
It feels good. And, I like that you bring up that reinventing yours. I mean, my first job, I was a conductor on a tourist train and fixing Cummins diesel engines. Oh
my God, really?
Yeah, is that
really,
crazy?
Because my truck is not working very well.
Yeah, I don't think anymore. I mean, that was 20 years ago. I don't think I'm the guy you want to do that now.
Okay, I was just checking. Because you're freelancing now and you're probably cheap. I'll buy you another beer if you can get that baby running. Yeah.
No, but back in those days, it's like you think, gosh, how could I make a career out of this? And I didn't. Moved on to something else, and I thought at that point, how could I make a career out of this? I mean, we were talking. I think it's 3 or 4 times. You sit and think.
And did you ever imagine when you're fixing diesel engines or a train conductor that you'd be, hey, how can I? And all these years later, I'll be podcasting. I'll be thousands of listeners listening to my opinion over the internet. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
That's
I think
wild.
of that every day.
Well, I'm glad you're out.
What was your first job?
I grew up in a farming community.
Oh,
so, I don't think you have a job in so much as you have a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it has seasons. And in the springtime, You might plow the weeds under and stuff. You're getting ready for the next year. Summer comes, you harvest your wheat. That's what we were not farmers specifically. We lived in a farming community. My dad is a high voltage electrician, but and then after harvest, which I would either drive truck or combine or run a grain elevator, then it became taking care of the fields and getting them ready for winter, which oddly enough is one of the big chores is what they call picking rock. Okay, so imagine
I don't
this.
know what that is.
Yeah, couple of kids, truck, not a huge semi, but a large truck that's got a big bed, and you walk behind it in this dusty field, take turns walking, and you literally pick up rocks, maybe anything larger than your fist, and you throw them in the back of the truck. And you do that all day for sun up to sundown. Now you get pretty buff, you look pretty cool and all that, but it is the most boring, the most mindless job you can imagine. Wow. Why do you do this? Well, because the rocks are hard on the equipment.
Yeah.
Because you suck it up into the header and it breaks things. So really you want to get it out. Now you're not going to get it all out, and every year more come up, right? So it's a never-ending job.
Yeah.
So people did it for 100 years before me.
And they'll be doing it for 100 years.
Another 100 years, and you just walk around and pick up rock. But
it really sounds like something to keep you busy. So I want you to go outside and pick up some rock.
Exactly.
Get out of here.
You're getting too much trouble. Yeah. Go pick the rock out of that field. Okay. So that was really my. So I've always worked in that respect.
Yeah.
And then I went to college, and because I didn't want to pick rock for the rest of my life, got a bachelor's degree in software engineering. Lord knows how they even let me get out.
Which is, interestingly, sort of like picking rocks.
Yes. Well, I think in a lot of ways, when I got it, it was more like, we probably shouldn't graduate him, but he's more of a menace here, so let's get him out before he causes any more damage to himself or the institution. And,
We've never heard of anybody getting an honorary bachelor's degree, but
but let's
give
this
it
one
to
a try.
Jamie to get him out of here.
And then from there, you just start working, and you reinvent yourself. Let's try this, or I like this, or I like that, and then today, flip-flops, t-shirt. By the way, did I show you I got these new flip-flops?
They're the best.
They're the best.
We need to put a picture of the
skulls on them. I mean, how awesome is that? Doing what I love in a Beer 30 t-shirt with flip-flops with
flip-flop shorts with flip-flop skulls on them. That's fantastic.
Living the high life, folks.
Did I ever tell you I got a farm story? Did I ever tell you my farm story when I was a kid?
It's not sheep or anything.
It's
right?
horses. Horses. I grew up
this is
around
a PG,
horses.
But go ahead.
Sort of. PG-13 at least.
Okay. All right.
I grew up in Oklahoma, and family was always in horses, show horses. I showed horses as a kid, Western show, and so grew up around horses. And my dad's Uncle Jim, is just old cowboy, and he ran this big farm. We used to go out and help him bale hay, and he just do the work, right?
Oh yeah, buck hay.
So we went out riding horses. We went out with my dad, his Uncle Jim, and me went out riding. I was probably 11. And we were coming back up to the barn, and I was on a cute little filly, apparently, because a big old horse comes up behind while I'm on the horse. Stay with me. And
pictures are starting to form in my head.
And mounted me.
Well, the horse with you on the
there
horse.
I am, sandwiched between these two horses, right? I've got hooves like down pinning me to the horse, and I am mounted. I kid you not. And so there's my dad.
Can you make it fast? Because I can't breathe down here.
There's my dad and my uncle who, they're freaking out. Because there's horses are not small.
Yeah, it could have been a very serious accident.
There's a lot of weight and an enormous amount of friction.
Yeah.
And and there I was.
How old were you?
I was probably 11.
Oh my!
And what my dad's in hysterics at this whole time and panic.
Yeah.
My uncle or his Uncle Jim's would you get out of the way, Pete? Just get out of the way.
It's like, do you think I'm enjoying this?
Yeah.
I mean,
what
the hell am I supposed to do?
I don't know. Oh my God, I got 1,400 pounds of stallion on my back.
I don't know why it's quite working right, but I can't stop, so each filly's a little different than I remember from last time.
Is that a terrible story? I carry that one around. That's a...
I'm wondering if you might be about the only person in the whole world that's ever had that. And I'm serious. I'm like, this does not happen often. You might want to check with like the Guinness Book of World Records, and you had witnesses and everything, because only man in the world to be mounted by a large stallion from behind while riding a filly. I mean, there's got to be a category.
What can I say?
I can't top that.
I ride cute horses.
Should be a bumper sticker for you. I ride cute horses.
Man, all right, the show. We're like 5 minutes into it. We've already completely degraded the show. But
how far we have come though from the rapid seminars
Yes.
to being mounted by a stallion on a filly. I ride cute fillies. All right, do we have news?
We do have news. You have a whole list of news.
I grabbed a piece of paper right here. Yes, I do.
Let's talk about it. What do we have?
Well, the first one that I had written down actually was related to you. I mean, you and I have both worked at Phoenix.
Sure.
As a disclaimer, and Phoenix is, as an institution, certainly it has its supporters and its detractors. And I mean, you and I still both teach there, and I mean, I love my students there. I love teaching, and there's so much cool stuff that happens. But
and it's important to recognize that, because that's a big one for me. That I'm, even as a now former employee, I have a lot of respect for the classroom environment at Phoenix.
Absolutely,
I really do.
I mean, I
Goes
think,
without saying.
I mean, you and I have sat down over a number of beers and talked about things that if we were in charge, we would clearly run differently.
Who doesn't do that about their organization?
But I have nothing but good things to say about the students and the things that we do in the classroom. And I see amazing things in classrooms from a lot of teachers and a lot of students. Notwithstanding, the detractors of Phoenix are a very interesting bunch. And there's this website, uopsucks.com.
Yeah.
I think there's a suck site for everything.
Yeah. There are a lot of suck sites.
Okay.
You were saying?
And there's this picture of this guy on a horse. Anyway, so I casually watch it because it's almost entertainment.
Yes.
Because here are people who somehow claim, I don't know how to say this in a way that's nice, I'm sure smart, well-meaning people who get on and basically post stories or their evidence of why this institution is horrible, right? And I've watched this over and over, and I find myself midnight when I'm getting ready to go to bed and I'm kind of surfing a little, laughing at, quite frankly, some of the arguments that people make.
Like what?
I'll give you an example. There was one there the other day that, and then I'll tell you what I've decided to do about it. So there was one the other day that this guy was talking about how bad the university was, and he said this. He said, I could go to any community college and pay less money and get a better education. That was his conclusion. And so I politely sat down and I said, if you were in a nice way, if you were in my critical thinking class on the very first night, we would talk about assumptions. So the assumption is, in his case, I could go to any community college and pay less money. Well, that may be true, but that's true for any university. So it doesn't prove anything, because community college is cheaper than a four-year university. Go figure. And get a better education. No, that's false. That's just categorically not true. You don't know that. You might have some good classes, some bad classes.
So what community college are you going to?
So you're going to make a generalization that says UOP sucks, and I can guarantee you I can go to any community college and get a better degree. Dude, you have proved to me that you're not doing very good in school no matter where you're going, because you're not thinking.
It's this,
and it for some reason, it's kind of gotten my goat. I'm like, people think before you put that kind of stuff out there.
So what are you doing about it? You said you were going to do something
I started a dialogue with the admin saying, listen, dude, you got to think about these things. If you want to have the site, that's fine. And you want people to post stuff, that's fine. But to spout things without putting a rational argument behind there, or arguments that are based in very little fact, it is really irresponsible and misleading, and is keeping people potentially from an education that might be good. So let's begin a dialogue about how do you think through these things, because it's not as bad as you make it out to be. It's only bad because you want it to be bad.
Because it was bad for you.
Because it was bad for you.
Then it must be bad for everybody.
Right.
And that's a frustrating place to be.
And I feel almost sorry for them to carry that around with them. It reminds me of, I had a lady one time, and this was in the 2004 elections, He says, well, Kerry's going to win. I said, how do you know? Because everybody I know is going to vote for Kerry. I talked to everybody, all my friends. I'm like, but we know statistically you only have about 150 meaningful relationships. So at max, 150 people are going to vote for Kerry.
Of 300 million.
Right, that doesn't tell me anything.
Yeah.
And so then when he loses, and he does, and she's all disappointed, well, how did it happen? Well, that was easy because
She has lame friends.
well,
They didn't put up.
that's right. Or they lied to her or whatever. And so it's the same thing with sites like that. If you have somebody on there comes says, well, everybody who comes here, or the bulk of the people come here, said they had a bad experience, therefore it must suck. Well, come on, how many do you get? 1,000, 2,000? I mean, they have hundreds of thousands of students.
Yeah.
That's not even relevant. And so if you're going to, he can do anything he wants, it's a free country, but I decided instead of just laughing at it, saying, well, let's engage in a dialogue.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
So what was the response? I mean, are they willing to have a dialogue?
I didn't do it in terms of a dialogue
No.
of saying, I'm going to question you. I just started picking things out
Yeah.
and said, here's what you said. Here's your premise in it. Let's pick it apart because it's really not a very good argument.
Right.
And so if we can debunk that, then tell me what your premise is.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of starting this, let's talk. And what I would like to do at some point, if I can develop a better relationship with him or whoever the admin is, maybe get him onto the show or something to just talk. And I think that would be a great show.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, why not?
So that's my strategy.
That's a good
I'm
strategy.
getting there. Give me some time.
So universityofphoenixsucks.com listeners.
Well, it's got to be all over. Howard Stern
Yeah.
sucks. We were saying earlier.
Any of the sucks.com. Come on. Because, I don't know. There have got to be, for every cause, there has to be an anti-cause.
Yeah,
Right? I mean, that's
absolutely.
just the way the cosmos is orchestrated. But, we just need to make sure that it's the right kind of cause.
Yeah.
That you're carrying around that you're pushing the right argument.
Yeah, and if you're pushing a argument based upon invalid assumptions or presumptions, then really then you come off as uncredible and it's like kind of a waste, if you ask me. But that's me.
It is.
So anyways, that's my strategy. If anybody wants to start a site, beer30live.com or beer30livesucks.com, we encourage you to do that. Because
We don't.
Yes, we do.
No, we
Yes, we do.
don't.
Because what that means is people care. All right. So if they're writing about us and blogging about that we stink, then I know we have arrived.
Then you know what? Start this as beer30livewecare.com.
Yeah, let's do that one as well.
One.
Okay.
But,
All right. I'm just telling you,
if
you care enough about the show to say we're not any good,
Yeah.
then we would listen every week and bitch about how we're not any good and have fun.
well, it's different about University of Phoenix because there's a place that strives to have substance. We strive for no such thing.
Only the pontification that we seem to.
That's too funny.
Yeah.
All right.
Particularly when it's just the two of us, the substance factor probably drops.
Through the floor.
Yeah, but we are missing the liberal slants and leaning of Mary, who props up the table on that side. But anyhow,
All right, what
do
else do we have?
News. What else? I wrote down today. I don't know if you've seen the news. Anything today? I don't know. I know you're.
I've been kind of buried, but what do
Your last. Okay, so
we got a
Manhattan
couple.
today. This just came up, struck me as funny. So 3 guys, and I don't know all the details. Maybe you can pull up on the computer.
I'm looking
3
at the
guys
picture.
build a submersible sub. Now this isn't like a commercial sub. It's like it's got to be like inner tubes, 55-gallon drums, and
Okay, so
yeah, go ahead. And they're floating around Manhattan in the bay.
it is a replica. It's an 8-foot by 4-foot fiberglass and wood submarine, a replica of a 1775 model called the Turtle, cited by police after drifting too close to the Queen Mary 2.
But first, that is awesome to make that, right?
But absolutely.
Let somebody know in advance. I mean, you're in Manhattan, for Christ's sake. People might be worried that you've got ammonium nitrate.
Terrorists, yeah.
Exactly. Did it ever cross your mind when building the sub and saying, "Hey, let Billy Bob, let's go out and float around"?
That submarines are sort of naturally connected with some sort of conspiracy,
It's really cool, but you got to think a little bit. Somebody might want to have.
I think it's an awesome story. Can you imagine being pulled over for a submarine. That's brilliant.
And you're cited for what? Bobbing in the water? I don't.
Well, the picture is great. This is on abcnews.go.com. It's a picture of the Queen Mary in the background, a New York City police tug, sort of between the submarine. It's too funny. Oh my goodness, we have a guest.
Oh, imagine that.
Imagine that.
Come on in, Alan. How you doing?
Alain Gracianette.
Very good.
Is our guest. We're going to get you mic'd up here, Alan.
We
We're
we
so
got
glad
started.
To see you.
We're glad you're here. Weren't quite sure what the schedule was, and so.
I asked her if it was 3:30. I thought she said 3:30.
Well, Mary's, as she's proven, very little unreliable. I mean, have you looked at the way she's let her body go lately?
Oh, that's
Dude, you're the one who
mean.
said the other day that she was
That
looking
is
pregnant.
mean.
And I did not, and you didn't use the nice word for pregnant. You used the
I
F
said,
word.
what?
The F word. She said she was looking fat. Dude, you don't say that to a woman who's pregnant.
You're not.
I'm
You're not good people.
I'm just chastising
I'm just
you on the
saying,
air.
you're not
You
good
don't
people.
tell a pregnant woman. You say she looks beautiful, that she's glowing.
And she is all
She
in a row.
is
She was
beautiful
doing
and
all
glowing.
Of that. She is, and she was
Coke
big.
or beer or whatever you want.
And welcome, Alan. I think we can hear you. Speak.
Okay. Hi, how are you?
Hi, hey, well, there we go. We have
There we
Alan.
go.
He's on the air.
Alain Gracianette.
Alain Gracianette. We're so glad you could show up. We were
you.
worried we were going to miss you today, so Jamie and I were trying to do it on our own.
And not doing very
Not
well.
doing
So thank
very
you
well.
for coming
Thank you
to
for
save
showing
us.
up.
That's very good.
I'm glad to be here.
Do you want to do a couple more headlines
Yes.
and then we'll bring Alan in?
Absolutely.
All right, so I have a couple more that I wrote down that
Do
were
it.
kind of interesting. I read an article the other day that kind of bothered me because I'm a little worried. I mean, Alan, you're a smart guy. I mean, I know you. I mean,
don't know
I know.
about that,
Yeah,
but-
well, I know you're very intelligent, and I hate to break this to you, but smart people have less sex.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what the news.
I don't think you're
said.
supposed to answer that quickly, Alan.
No, I'm just puzzled.
He's nodding his head, going, "Oh yeah,
He-
yeah, been there, done that."
It's very cultural and nationality factor because
Yeah.
I think we French think we can be smart and sexually active.
But it doesn't count for French.
That's true. I've been to France.
The headline that I read was a little misleading, which goes to show that what the media does to us sometimes. It was really about kids, younger kids who are educated and are smarter and grow up in a culture of getting education, reading, all those sorts of things, and that they have sex later in life or less sex, and they make better, healthier decisions.
Right.
So it really wasn't that the smarter you are, the less sex you have. It's as you're younger, you make better decisions.
That's right. And what they're being taught that, quantity is no substitute for quality.
That's always been my philosophy.
So
and
maybe it's that smart people have better sex.
That's exactly what it is. Because you could put that on its head and
You really
reverse it
could.
the other way.
That's
Although
right.
a large quantity of quality sex won't hurt either.
That's right. As long as we're keeping score.
That's right. As the French would say, it's all good.
C'est bon,
Well,
c'est bon.
it-
C'est
it
bon,
gets
c'est
to-
bon. That should be our motto.
Well, it gets to another one. The BBC News has Oxford University reporting an Oxford University study. They reviewed 13 U.S. trials involving over 15,000 people and found that, surprise, surprise, abstinence programs have no effect on sexual activity or in sexually transmitted disease.
Wow, the Pope is going to start freaking out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
really?
I mean, it gets
isn't
to
that
this,
what
yeah,
the
I mean,
church...
that's a sort of a big fat duh, but,
Yeah.
and yet the connection was made, however, that programs, the effective programs are those that teach about how to reduce risk. That, yes, we know you're going to do it, use a condom to reduce
Do it safely.
HIV.
Well,
do it right.
I would though make a slight premise change, which is not we know you're going to do it. The choice is you have a choice, and here's what that choice is, and here's why you make it the way you make it, and then if your choice is here, then here's what you need to make sure
Right.
you do. Right. So does
Because
that make sense?
It's that you're teaching the gray area,
Yeah,
right?
but teach
all
people
these
to be
other church
smart.
programs are black and white. They're binary. You
Right.
do it or you don't. Right?
Well, and then you feel guilty if you do it.
Exactly.
And you're going to hell for it. I mean, we and I were talking about critical thinking, so it goes back to teaching people to just make good decisions for themselves based upon having good information and being smart and choose. I mean, don't make it this hell and damnation and you're a bad person. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's right.
That's crazy.
Wow.
How do the French do it?
All the time. All the time.
I knew as soon as I said that I was in trouble.
Well, how is well? It begs the question though. How is sexual awareness taught in France?
You know, I would say that there is less of a religious connotation. France, ever since the French Revolution, had a separation between church and state. And the reason was because for 800 years, the French third state, the peasantry and the merchant and the craftsmen, felt oppressed by aristocrats and church. So ever since the French Revolution, France has been promoting laicity. So you have the
What? What did I miss?
laicity. You can be a laik if you want, right?
Okay.
So any French citizen has a right to believe or not believe and believe in whatever religion he or she feels like.
Right.
But the religious, you don't see the overwhelming religious presence that you see maybe on American media about, advertising that you will go to hell if you, have sex and whatever. So I would say the model is a little bit more pragmatic. I've been living in the U.S. for 22 years, and what is still amazing me about America is that constant dichotomy. In one hand, we have that Puritan heritage that prevent topless beaches, but on the other hand, we invented Playboy and Penthouse.
Yeah, we are.
Right?
We are an enigma, aren't we? In that respect.
So if you go, right now, if you go to any French beach, I can assure you that whether people are French, Dutch, Belgian, German, English, Italian, because everybody is visiting France at that time of the year, I mean, most people would be either topless or naked or with suit. It doesn't matter. I mean,
and nobody cares.
And nobody cares.
By the way, Beer 30 Live is going on the road next week. We will be in France, Germany, Belgium, wherever you were saying. Alan's going to show us all the best beaches.
That's right.
Yeah. That's right. We need to go on a road tour.
Yes, we do. We need to take the show out and bring it to the people.
Another example would be look at French politics, for example. The two candidates who were running, Sarkozy and Royal. Well, Sarkozy apparently has been living hand on off, with his wife. So you can still be elected president of France, whether you are living with your wife or not. And Royal had 4 kids with her partner. They've been partners for 25 years, and they never found the urge of getting married. Another example would be when...
And that's okay?
And that's okay.
But hold on, you can get elected American president and not live with your wife or even particularly like her. Bill Clinton.
Well,
they lived 2 times. But I see what
look, the issue is...
I
exactly.
was trying to make a joke, but it didn't.
That was a big fat lead balloon.
Shut up.
And when Mitterrand was, buried, both his wife and his mistress were at the grave attending his funeral, So
it's a trifecta.
So the point I'm trying to make is that the French, I believe, are just a bit more pragmatic. Not necessarily better,
right?
And certainly not faster at things.
I'm not going to touch that. Man, see what happens when you leave just Pete and I to our own devices without a little balance. Yeah.
What else is on our list?
Did I mention ménage à trois?
Is a French word, right? French.
It is French.
Yeah.
God save the French.
And we also invented lingerie. Did I forget that?
Lingerie?
Yeah.
There's so many things, but I gotta stop. My brain's like, wait, okay, I gotta stop. But this is kind of related. A little piece of news, and I don't remember the title, so forgive me, all our listeners, for this one.
What?
Angry men get ahead more, and angry women are bitches and get punished at work. Something like that. Right? That's a horrible
That was
headline.
the article. It was on Reuters Newswire here, and it says exactly that men who are angry at work are typically admired and promoted for it, while women are penalized and often referred to as out of control. And then you get this comment by a Republican political pundit who says Hillary Clinton is too angry to be elected president.
Well, and wasn't it Edward's wife that said something about Hillary wasn't feminine enough or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, same connotation, same kind of parenthesis like.
Is that true?
Well,
God, we need a woman here.
Yeah, I think we need to preface this a little bit. It's just 3 guys, right? So
Right.
Mary's going to kill us at some point. But
Yeah.
do women who appear really strong at work, are they penalized? I think the answer is yes.
I think so too.
And I think they're penalized because the perception, right or wrong, is that they're trying to act like a man.
Yes.
And if men do it, well, certainly they can be over the top. They're perceived as strong and dominating, and that's something
That's
you
admirable.
want.
That's admirable, right?
Yeah. Now, is that fair?
Well, I think what comes to my mind is also, and I'll try to link this topic to the one we're talking about. I think there are only a few adjectives for men who are sexually active. I think I read one time there were only 7 adjectives for men, but 77 for women.
Oh, yeah.
Would
Yeah,
be
that is.
sexually
So that
active.
would be the same thing.
Yeah, so there is a macho culture. I remember an example, for example, in a German language, a woman does not acquire her gender until she gets married. So essentially in German, you have 3
She's a
genders.
neuter.
You have male, female, and neutral. And a woman will not become a woman. So she
Until
would have the
marriage.
same gender. So the English equivalent would be he, she, and it. So a young man, a young boy, soon becomes a he.
Mm-hmm.
But a baby girl will not become a she until she's married. She will
Oh, that's
remain it. So if she
fascinating.
doesn't get married until she's 30, she will be an it until she gets married.
That's fascinating.
And that's the difference between Frau and Fräulein, I believe.
Yeah.
So Fräulein would be Mrs., but you don't be. So just to say that across cultures around the world, you have many male-oriented facts that affect culture and hence affect in turn the perception that the public may have of female. So I guess what I'm trying to say that two individual, male and female with the same characteristics, may be perceived in different way based on that unfair cultural context.
That is fascinating.
That is fascinating.
There was and I don't have it in front of me, so I'll have to find it another time. But there was an article that I saw, must have been about a month ago, and it was studying the relationship between male and female in animals and stuff. And so one of the things that I question when we think about this, is it an issue of, well, we're just barbaric and insensitive, okay, and blah, blah, or is that biologically how we are predisposed, and you see it in other species as well? And I'm not saying that's right or fair, I'm not making a judgment, but what is it that causes it? Just because all men are animals, or is it because this is how nature normally, or has made it over time?
Yeah.
And we have not yet moved out of that time to where it's more equal. I'm not making an argument, I'm just saying, is it because you're just an ass?
Yeah. No, I mean,
or is
that's
it because
really it.
you're biologically
You're
wired,
wired that way. Yeah. And maybe, and that is therefore why strong women have such a hard time shaking that, because they're not wired that
Right.
way either, really.
Right.
I think there are also societal expectations with regards to the role of a man, of a male, or the role
Right.
of a female.
Yeah.
And sometimes a strong woman may be breaking the male paradigm that a female is supposed to be weak. I mean, an obvious example would be, look at the way women are portrayed in the media. Look at beauty canons, right? Essentially, in today's society, a beautiful woman is a skeleton. She's a working skeleton, right? I mean, look at the atrocities. I mean, that top model have to go through.
Yeah.
It's like being a ballerina, right? I mean, they have essentially to starve just to keep their weight and their figure and whatever. And based on what? Based on the possibility of pleasing male.
Which
Most
is
of-
a primal.
But then, again, is that because they have to please the male, and if they don't, they won't get ahead? Or is it because the woman in that respect, again, is primally and evolution-wise has been kind of brought to be that way? I mean, those are fascinating questions.
Are we going to go ahead and answer those today?
No, I'm going to stay away from that,
Okay.
particularly without.
The last thing I was thinking of is,
Mary.
have you seen the show Damages? It's a new show. It's on FX, right? Glenn Close. She plays a high-end attorney.
Oh, yeah.
And she is, I mean, it feels like she's modeled after Hillary Clinton. I mean, she's
Yeah.
just angry, smart, and owns the system. right?
Right.
But she comes off in the end as very hateful, right? As
interesting.
maniacal, as cruel, as conniving.
Yeah.
You know, all the things that. And it's fascinating to this point, and it gets to the Hillary Clinton Sopranos video.
Tell us about that.
Well, you know, I mean, it was a campaign video. I thought it was a joke. Have you seen this?
Yes,
Alan,
I
The
have.
Sopranos?
Yes.
You know, I mean, she's sitting in the restaurant, and you know, just like the end of the Sopranos, the season finale or series finale, she's sitting in the diner, and she's waiting to order, and Bill comes in absolutely hangdog, and you know, just sort of wandering aimlessly, and sits down, and all the other sort of punditry is walking around, the mafia political punditry, and then it ends up being a Hillary campaign video. I didn't really get it.
Why did they think that was
But-
good?
I don't know. I mean, it feels like they were going for this. Let's portray Hillary in this position of power,
And Bill is subservient.
as subservient. But in the end, you're portraying Hillary as a mafia kingpin,
As a bitch.
which is not necessarily the person I want as the
Most
president.
Yeah.
portrait, yeah.
And then is that the person she really is?
Yeah,
And we
exactly.
might two last things, and
Tell
talking
me, yeah,
about
we got to move on.
male and female behavior. We talked a little bit about last week. I love the show Bullshit on Showtime.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm totally hooked. Blah blah. So they did this little expose that was kind of funny. Men have long, probably as they've been alive, accused of not looking women in the eyes, and women are like, "Hello, I have eyes. Not just a chest. I have eyes." So they tested this out, and they took this guy in a restaurant. They put him in some tight, like spandex tight shorts. Okay, and they took a nice big rubber schlong and they put it in his pants. And he started waiting on women
Yeah.
and watched and recorded the
The
women
looks.
and their responses. And by God, if those women just don't stare like everybody else, they're like, "Oh my God, did you see that?" And when he leaves, they're pointing it out. "Look, wait till he comes back." And he comes back, and they're all like looking at each other, nudging each other. And they're just like, and some of them are just like staring.
Yeah.
You're like drool coming out of their mouth, and I'm like, that is so funny.
Yeah,
because
that's
so
priceless.
how are we different? I mean, come
Yeah,
on,
we're not
you know?
different. Get over it.
Get over yourself.
Yeah.
We just don't look at the same latitude.
Yeah,
That's
that's
exactly
right. That's right.
right. Yeah.
So we might have it easier, but you know.
Yeah.
All right. So what are we here to talk about today? We've got we've invited Alan on the show. Now, Alan, we're talking a little bit, I believe, about
Globalization. I believe.
globalization,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
which I think we've already started.
Okay, wonderful.
So tell us a little bit about your background, and you say you've been here 22 years. What got you here? What's your specialty?
Well, the only thing that could make a Frenchman ever leave France is love, of course. So,
Of course.
22.
Riding the coattails,
There you
isn't
go.
it?
That's right, that's
Gotta
right.
ride, because France doesn't bring anything else. You might as well just ride it. Is that
What?
So,
Shit.
no, 25 years ago, I came to play rugby, actually. I came with a rugby club, and we toured the U.S. for 3 weeks. And last day of the tour, we're in San Diego. It was a beautiful day in early September. And I met a beautiful young lady whom I invited to come visit me in France. She did. Ended up spending 3 years in France. We got married. And then at the time, I was working for NCR Corporation. And we decided to come live here in the U.S. NCR transferred me from Paris to LA. And so I went on to becoming an American, a Californian first, and then an American. So in 1999, I became a dual citizen. So I am the living proof that you can be both a
You can
Frenchman
actually
and
become
an
a
American.
Frenchman and American.
Right, regardless of what you hear on some media.
So there is hope.
Okay. So now I spent 13 years at NCR. Then I studied fashion design and merchandising at UCLA.
No kidding.
Shit, and I'm dressed like this.
Yeah.
In hope to go into the sporting goods industry, which
Yeah.
I did. Then I did my MBA at Pepperdine. And after 13 years in high tech and sales management, I wanted to do something different. And because I like sports so much, I wanted to be involved in sports marketing,
Yeah.
which is what I did for 4 years until my boss became CEO of a company in Oregon and asked me to join him, which I did.
Yeah.
Then I went back into high tech during the dot-com era. And when I did my MBA, I had an epiphany. I saw all of these instructors who were either top-notch consultants working for Fortune 500 corporation and executive, were entrepreneurs, were doing their doctorate, and say, one day I want to be one of them. Yeah. So when I came to Oregon 10 years ago, I called the University of Phoenix because Pepperdine was not here, and I perceived the University of Phoenix as being engaged in adult education. And your predecessor, Jamie Bob Hanks, entrusted me with the teaching of a small international class. Thank God there were only 6 students, so I couldn't do too much damage. And that day I got the bug, and I've been teaching ever since. So I'm now associate faculty at Marylhurst University, where I've been teaching for 6 years, and I'm doing my doctorate in management at George Fox University.
Fantastic.
And my research has to do with globalization and actually expatriation. I'm researching cross-cultural factors affecting the acculturation of American expatriates in China.
That's very cool.
Wow. Okay, that opens a big door. The whole issue of China blows me away. My daughter, we just started my daughter at the international school. She's 5 years old, full immersion Chinese. I think we're doing it because we're preparing her for.
It's a great decision, but the best decision you could do as a parent. I only wish my kid were 10 years younger, and that's what they would be studying.
Yeah, start them with Chinese before it hurts, because it hurts me to think about
I was in Shanghai two months ago. That was the first time, but that was part of the George Fox doctoral program. And you can read all of Friedman, you can read the Lexus and the Leaf Tree, you can read The Word is Flat. You can read anything you want about globalization. It will never replace a 1 week or 2 weeks experience in China. It's just incredible.
What is going on in China right now?
First, I think China is currently using 60% of the world concrete production. Most of the cement produced. The joke is, what's the national bird of China? It's the crane, because in 1 week, I think I saw 1,000 cranes.
Oh my goodness.
So when you look at the 3 or 4 cranes downtown Portland by the Pearl District or the waterfront, I mean, it simply doesn't add up.
They're just cookie cutter Hong Kongs all over the country.
Absolutely, and the money, the capital is coming from Hong Kong, it's coming from Singapore, it's coming from Taiwan, it's coming from Japan, it's coming partially from the U.S. But it's just mind blowing. The average building is 30-story high. And within a week, I saw 300, 400, 500 developments, and their approach is just mind-boggling. Essentially, they would take 5, 10, 12 acres of sometimes existing property. The same houses that had been here in Shanghai for 100 years are being destroyed in a matter of weeks. Yeah. Then they build these very long 2 or 3-story dorms. Where they pile up 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 young men coming straight from the rice paddies. And then they have them pour concrete 24 hours a day. Now, they don't work 24 hours a day. They actually, labor is quite protected. People work on average of 8 hours a day. But they have 3 shifts, and they are pouring concrete and building 24 hours a day non-stop at an incredible speed.
At what point does Greenpeace come over and do the environmental study to make sure none of the protected animals are getting hurt?
Well, first, Greenpeace would have to be allowed to the country. I'll give you an example. We're a group of 35 students from George Fox, and one, just based on the health declaration that he had to do to enter the country, was simply invited not to enter the country, and after a 16-hour trip, was invited to spend the night at an hotel by the airport and was put in a plane back to America, turn around next time. So
I was being a little facetious. It's a different market. I mean, it doesn't have that same level of regulation.
I understand. You still see a mixture. You see, in one hand, raw capitalism, as we may have experienced here in the beginning of the 20th century, but still with a strong governmental control. And you don't see the Chinese Communist Party, but you feel the presence. There is a discipline, for better, for worse. One good example would be that we're working anywhere in Shanghai at around midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning in total safety. We're working, I would probably never do that in many parts of American cities, and maybe even French cities or European cities. Yes. And yet over there you saw young people, male, female, walking, biking, cycling all around town and in total safety. So you knew it's a safe country.
Is that a cultural thing, or or just you feel the presence of police I don't want to say police state, it conjures up too much, but that's
Right.
sort of what I'm getting at.
Is it fear?
Yeah, because I mean,
or
you know,
is
when I
it
think about
just
it,
confidence and safety?
I lived in Korea for a little while, and it's, I mean, I am sort of associating this with a more sort of Asian aesthete. You know, I didn't spend that kind of time in China, but we had very much a similar kind of feeling, you know, walking around the streets in the middle of the night.
Yeah, and something in Japan where I remember reading that Tokyo is one of the safest cities in the industrial world. I think there is a fear. I don't know if people. It is because people grew up for the past 70 years in a strong communist country.
Yeah.
We all remember.
They've built safe habits.
Yeah.
They think safe,
So,
you know?
And I remember asking our guide, our Chinese guide, and she was not too direct in her answer, but what she alluded to was the fact that nobody really wants to visit a Chinese jail.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's, I'm assuming that nobody wants to visit an American jail either, but
Yeah.
there is, you know, there is an implication of maybe a different world, a different
Yeah.
reality.
I mean, yeah, I mean, 2 years in jail or 5 years or 10 years versus nobody will ever see you again,
Yeah.
or you're going to lose a limb. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
different. Brutal punishment versus our version of correction and corrective and
Right.
re-education.
What was interesting also, we visited several industrial parks, and we visited one, I think it was Shenzhou, which was a joint venture between the Chinese and Singaporean government. And in 1999, they invested $1 billion and invited 250 multinational corporations. Today, 8 years later, they have a total capital investment of $43 billion, and 2,470 companies came from all over the planet. So the equivalent would be for companies and government from all over the world to approach the mayor of Portland and say, we would like to spend $43 billion. Do you have some land for us?
Right.
Yeah.
And can you imagine the amount of job, I mean, the wealth creation that would be resulting from such an investment?
What are all those people doing though? So there has to be an economy behind the jobs.
What is the economy? I mean, we
what are they
assume it's
producing?
manufacturing, right?
Well, I'll give you an example. So first, it's very important to understand that Shanghai is not China. Shanghai is a hybrid between mainland China and what Hong Kong is. Over the past 10 years, the average GDP per capita in Shanghai went from $2,700 per person per capita to around $9,800.
In how many years?
In 10 years.
Wow.
Just
That's
incredible.
huge. That's significant.
I mean, I feel like your salary increasing 5 times
Yeah.
over 10 years. I mean, that's nice.
With the matter
Yeah.
of 10 years. So with regards to what do they do, we visited, for example, a Black & Decker factory. I saw where my power tools were made, my Black & Decker and DeWalt tools. I had a feeling of being in an American high school because there were 300 or 400 young Chinese between the age of 18 to 25 producing 95,000 power tools per day.
95,000?
95,000
power tools
drills,
per day.
routers, I mean, any power tools you could think of were made pretty much by hand. I mean, all the plastic molding, the parts came from another factory in China. And here they were in total harmony, not even wearing uniforms and working together. It was such a vibrant energy that was amazing. The salary, I inquired about the salary conditions. A part-time worker earns $150 a month. A full-time worker earns anywhere from $200 to $250 a month. A starting engineer earns $600 a month, the equivalent of $600 a month. And a qualified engineer earns $1,000 a month.
Wow.
So these are some of the numbers.
But again, we'd have to put it like back to the Big Mac index.
Well,
A
that's-
Big Mac
that's right.
might cost us 50 cents there. So I mean, I don't know how.
Well,
that
yeah. I
relates.
mean, that I guess the next question. What's the? I mean, based on
What does that
your
mean?
experience in researching this, what is the state of the? Everybody asks about the
purchasing power.
sweatshop.
And what
you
is it?
know, I mean,
Well, I
it
asked our
sounds
guide.
like
We had a young guy, Jennifer, who was 27 years old, was I guess engaged, and she said that her and her fiancé had just purchased their condo.
wow.
We talked to somebody else who say I think he was making the equivalent of $600 per month as one of the top guides in the nation. His wife was actually a small retail owner, earning a little bit more, $750 per month. And they said that every month they save her salary. So this couple earns, I guess, $1,350 per month, and they put aside $750 per month.
Well, and you wonder why China is buying so much of our debt. I mean, if
Yeah.
you think of it
And
from
that's
that way,
exactly what it is.
because if they don't buy our debt, and if we struggle, then their economy struggles because who are they going to sell the goods to?
Yeah, and the Chinese national savings rate is around 44%, where the U.S. national savings rate is a -7. I guess last time I checked, maybe worse now.
Well, but that doesn't include your retirement 401ks and that kind of stuff. So when they calculate that,
That's
right,
personal.
then
Yes,
it
personal,
doesn't
consider
say,
that.
well, here's what you took out beforehand.
Yeah.
So, but yes, ours is horrible.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't,
I mean,
it doesn't
we know
relate.
we have a consumer-driven spending economy, credit, plastic economy.
Well, we
where
can't do it
they-
forever.
Exactly.
Pipers come and do. Buy your safety gear. Go in a cave.
Cover
hang
your
out.
house in Visqueen and
Yes.
duct tape. This is a fascinating conversation.
I don't want to stop, but
know.
we're like running on an hour, and
We are.
and
We're
I gotta
running
get
out of
going.
time, and but Alan, would you come back sometime and
Absolutely.
let us
Can we
have more of your time
Yeah,
to
we
talk
need
about
more.
this? This is such an interesting conversation, and I think it behooves more of a
Yeah, we
more
need,
of a
'cause this
conversation.
is
than
like
this.
we're just
Yeah, I
getting
feel like
this,
we're
like,
just getting
wow.
started. So we will have a part 2 with Alain Gracianette. Thank you so much for
Thank you so
joining
much for
us,
having me.
Alan. It is wonderful to talk to you. And Jamie, you got to bust out of here pretty quick.
I do. Yes, I do.
Well,
Apologize.
it's good to see you, man. It's good to spend the hour with you. It's like
good.
going back in time.
This is good.
For Jamie Whitley and Pete Wright, this has been Beer 30 Live.
We're up.
Bye.